24. Recollections of childhood. Points. The place of birth, relatives, friends, events, pleasant and painful. Would you like to be a child again? I was born at Asansol about 17 years ago. My father was an advocate there, and the family consisted of my parents, myself, my sister, a cousin, and my grandmother. My earliest recollection is of my grandmother fondling me in her arms, chanting a nursery rhyme. As usual, for a grandmother, she was very fond of the children of the family. We too always found the greatest pleasure in her company. My next recollection is of a small park near our house where the children of the locality were taken out every afternoon. I became intimate with some I met there, and that intimacy continues still. I was there that I first saw a bear and a monkey. A man was showing some tricks with them. Though I was a little frightened of the animals, I enjoyed their pranks quite as much as the other children present. The next experience worth mention was my first day at school. When I entered the compound with my father, school had not begun yet, so the children were enjoying themselves here and there. That I would soon become one of them seemed to be a privilege. The mind, however, was troubled with fear that I might not be quite free and easy in their midst. My heart began to beat fast when I was taken to the headmaster, but his smiling face and gentle words put me at my ease. I was admitted into class 3rd. The warmth with which my classmates received me dispelled all my fears. Of recollections outside school, the memory of an old neighbor, now dead, is still fresh in my mind. He would often gather children around him and tell them stories of our great men in a way that kept us almost spellbound. But these pleasant memories do not mean that my childhood was all roses. I was not free to do or have whatever I liked. This constant check and restraint seemed a tyranny. I felt deeply grieved, but there was no help. My protests sometimes took the form of fasts, which were broken by persuasion or rebuke, but the most painful experience was the death of my mother. I was then barely 8 when her loving face and sweet smile float before my mind's eye. I feel utterly forlorn. It is a wound that can never heal. As to whether I would like to be a child again, my firm answer is yes. With all its checks and restraints, childhood is free from worries and has infinite capacity for enjoyment. Page number 737. The book you like best. Points. The name of the book, its author, story, the appeal of the book, principal characters, conclusion. The book I like most is Ramer Sumati by Sharat Chandra Chatterjee. Ram Lal, the boy hero of the story, had lost his mother when he was only 2 years and a half. Since then, he had been brought up with all the love and affection of a mother by Narayani, wife of his step-brother Shyam Lal. Ram Lal was an unruly boy, full of mischief. He was almost a terror to the whole village and consequently caused constant worries to Narayani. The situation took a turn for the worse when Narayani's mother, Digambari, came to live with her daughter. She and Ram Lal developed an antipathy to each other. Digambari tried to poison the ear of her daughter and son-in-law against Ram, and Ram too spoke in insulting terms about her. One day, Ram quarrelled with the son of the zamindar of the village under whom his brother served. Shyam Lal was naturally very much vexed. Shortly after a quarrel ensured between Digambari and Ramlal. The boy aimed a guava at Digambari, which by chance struck Narayani on the eye. All these were too much for Shyamlal. The ancestral home was partitioned and Ramlal was separated from their joint mess. The boy practically fasted for 2 days, and so did Narayani too. The third day she cooked meals herself and called in Ramlal to feed him with her own hand. Digambari threatened to leave the house, but Ramlal pleaded with his sister-in-law to allow her to stay on, assuring her that good sense had dawned on him at last. The story is a nice picture of the fast decaying joint family system in India. Narayani was an ideal mistress of such a family, full of love and sweetness and tact. Ram was more than a son to her. Digambari, her mother, found shelter with her in her distress. How skillfully did Narayani prevent the quarrels between her mother and Ramlal from going to extremes. But the author's portrayal of the character of Ramlal appeals to me most. With all his wayward nature and hot temper, he was like a lamb to his sister-in-law. How nicely have his feelings for Narayani being painted through a few incidents. He could not bear any opposition, but submitted timidly to her caring. Though a grown-up lad, he had to be fed by her. He flared up to see his banyan twigs uprooted, but calmed down at once when Narayani told him that they were harmful to her. He threatened the doctor with dire consequence unless he cured his sister-in-law as early as possible. How true all these delicate touches are to the nature of a love-hungry boy like Ram. No wonder the book is still one of the most popular of the works of the great author. 26th. The day when everything went wrong. Points: the auspicious day, mishap during breakfast, travelling in bus, in school, in the afternoon, in the evening, accident, at night, conclusion. Last Monday was quite an unusual day when everything went wrong with me right from early morning till midnight. I was about to brush my teeth in the morning. Suddenly I realized that I had applied my father's shaving cream on my brush instead of toothpaste. Page number 738. Every day I assisted my mother to prepare breakfast for the members of our family. Nobody had ever had any reason to complain. Well, it was a different day altogether. I added salt instead of sugar to tea and served it to everyone. On inquiry, I learned that our new servant had filled the sugar pot with salt without our knowledge. I had to make tea once again and serve it to all. On my way to school by bus, as I was about to pay my fare, to my surprise and my embarrassment, I found that my pocket was empty and there was a big hole in it. Well, I did not know what to do till a kind-hearted gentleman came forward to my rescue. My luck was bad in my mathematics class too. The teacher, with whom I am always favourite, criticized me for my failure to solve a very simple equation. I could have solved the problem on any other day 1,000 times without blinking, but on that day I was totally confused. I am always very popular in my club for my goal-scoring abilities, but on that day in a crucial football match, I just could not do anything right. Everything went wrong right from the kick-off. I missed 5 golden opportunities, including a penalty. I still don't know how I could miss those open nets. Naturally, I was replaced after interval and witnessed my team going down by 2 clear goals in the second half. No doubt, I was blamed for my team's debacle. Back at home, after a wash and some snacks, I gave a helping hand to my mother to light hurricane lamps. Here too misfortune followed me. I broke 2 glass chimneys while cleaning them. As it was getting dark outside, I hurriedly went to the nearest shop to buy replacements. On my way back home, I fell down and twisted my ankle, but managed to save the chimneys. I had a terrible pain and asked my sister to prepare hot turmeric and lime paste for application. And do you know what? She applied it so hot that it burnt my skin. I forgot all about the pain in my twisted ankle, for the burning sensation was unbearable. Still, my cup of misfortune for that day was not full. It followed me even up to midnight, when the mosquito net gave in. I had to get up from my bed, limp around round the bed, and fix the mosquito net all over again. I still don't know how all these happened in a single day. Astrologers or wise men may interpret it in different ways, but one thing I was sure of: I was surely followed by a bad star on that day. 27. Games and Sports. Points. Introduction. In ancient Greece and in advanced countries of the present day. Neglected so long in our country. Benefits. Physical and mental. About character. Teachers. Disciple. Discipline. Sportsmanlike spirit. Unselfish teamwork. Develops other qualities. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So runs a proverb. It means that games and sports are absolutely necessary for everybody, even for those who would be scholars. In ancient Greece, they formed the principal part of education. In the advanced countries of the present day, also they are a regular features of the school and college curriculum. Unfortunately, however, they were rather neglected in our country so long. No doubt, there were football and some small area games and occasional drills and exercises in some places, but they did not get the importance they should. It is only recently that greater attention is being paid to them by the educational authorities. Page number 739. Indeed, the importance of games and sports cannot be overemphasized. They are necessary for the mind as for the body. They keep us physically fit and enable us to enjoy the blessings of good health. As a healthy brain can reside only in a healthy body, games and sports are also necessary for intellectual progress. No doubt, there are physical exercises that may be taken alone, but there is a difference between such exercise and those taken in company. The former seem like tasks imposed, while the latter combines the pleasure of company and competition with exercise. So the latter create greater enthusiasm and greater interest than the former. Games and sports also help the formation of character by teaching the value of discipline. They have to be played under some definite rules, and captains and supervisors are appointed to see that these rules are not broken. The decision of these captains and supervisors have to be carried out without any protest, even when they appear to be wrong. Players are thus taught to play the game, to take even defeat in a sportsmanlike spirit. Success in games requires the players to cooperate with one another and look to the interest of the team as a whole, and not to their personal glory. This teaches them unselfish teamwork and cooperative spirit. Games and sports also develop some other qualities such as quickness of decision and movement and firmness of mind, which are so necessary in every walk of life. 28. My favorite game and why I like it. Points. Introduction. Cricket. Dull and time consuming. Badminton, tennis, etc. are leisure games. The place of hadudu. I prefer football. Exciting and tough game. Conclusion. Having played many games during the last 10 years, I think football is the best of all. I tried cricket, but to me it was dull. It does not arouse in me the interest that football does. It is too much time consuming. I think as it takes a whole day to complete a match, students should avoid playing it. Moreover, it is expensive too. I also tried badminton. It is so easy that it is more a pastime than a game. Lawn tennis is a good game, but it is very expensive. Moreover, these two games do not help much in developing team spirit. I also tried other Indian games when I used to be in our village. There we played kabaddi or hadudu. They are really interesting and require tact, pluck and nerve. The scuffle that often takes place in that game brings into play all the muscles and strengthens them. Games of these types were played by our forefathers and are still being played by most of the village boys. The greatest advantage of these types of games is that they cost nothing. But these games are seldom played in our town. As I live in a rather big town, I find pleasure and recreation in playing football. It is one of the most exciting games because there is always some action. There is no dull moment in it. Page number 740. All the 22 players are after a common goal to score a goal and win the game. It also helps to foster team spirit, spirit of cooperation, orderly behavior, tact, skill, and a methodical habit. These makes a player tough but not necessarily rough. The habit of obeying the referee's whistle and lineman's flags accustoms every player to discipline. And how intense is the joy when the ball is netted. The best feature of the game is that it makes the players run always. Unlike most other outdoor games, it is not expensive. It can be played any season, anywhere. It is the most exciting game of all, and perhaps only on account of this it is played all over the world. Football is objected to be the ground that injuries frequently occur in the course of the game. But new regulations have been imposed by different bodies to make it a man-like game to the limit of physical violence. Heavy fouls or unfair tackles and unsportsmanlike behavior in and off the field are strongly dealt with. When football is played in a true sportsmanlike spirit, there is hardly any injury. This is why I like the game most. 29. Science in everyday life. Points. Introduction. Science. The first thing we enjoy in the morning. Tea, daily newspaper, books. In our meals, in clothes, in professional activities, in the evening, fans, lights, in health. Danger of making too much of science. At first, man was little better than animal, but now he has become the lord of creation. There is no doubt that science is at the root of this progress. This will be clear to us if we consider the place of science in our daily life. The first thing we take early in the morning is tea, and it is science that have given us this exhilarating drink. The daily paper that we take up then to satisfy our hunger for information is also a product of science. The items of news are not only gathered daily from all over the world, but also printed on a mass scale through different scientific processes such as telegraphs, radios, printing press, etc. The paper on which these are printed is produced from pulps by science. So are books, which give us the power of knowledge. Then come meals, most of the material of which are made available to us through trains and ships and buses. The clothes we wear, waterproofs that protect us from rain, shoes that protect our feet are all manufactured by machines invented by the power of science. Different people then go to their work by different means, by buses or trams or cars or trains or cycles, all of which are the blessings of science. On return home, some relax themselves at show houses, some at radio or at TVs. Besides, there are electric lights, fan, cooker, refrigerator in many houses to make home life enjoyable and comfortable. In the rich countries of the West, there are many other labor-saving small machinery in almost every house. The latest miracle are the computers and cell phones which set up global network connections just by clicking of buttons. Science has greatly improved our health. We have now good medicines for many diseases which were so fatal only a few years back. Modern surgery also has been working wonders in the surgical field. But great as has been the achievements of science, it has its dark side too. By making too much of machines, we are becoming machines ourselves and run the risk of losing our souls. To save ourselves from that evil fact, we should not allow science to get mastery over us, but should use it only as a servant. Page number 741. 30th. Science, a blessing or a curse. Points: Introduction, achievement of science, family comfort, transport and communication, improvement of health. Why a curse? At first, man was no better than animal. He was completely at the mercy of the forces of nature and lived in constant fear of other creatures stronger than he. But now he has become the lord of creation. It is science that has given him this power. With it, he has been inventing new things to acquire greater and greater power to make life more enjoyable. Indeed, wonderful are the achievements of science. It has taught man to grow food and make home life comfortable and enjoyable. The electric light and fan, the electric cooker, the refrigerator, etc., have freed life of much of the drudgery and discomfort of our forefathers. Railways, steamships, motor cars, aeroplanes, etc., have enabled us to travel from one end of the earth to the other within a very short time in comfort and safety. The telegraph, the telephone, and the wireless have made communication quick and safe. Science has given us the printed book, which is our main source of knowledge. Science has also given us good medicines for many diseases which were so fatal only a few years back. Modern surgery also has been working wonders in the surgical field. Scientists have succeeded in sending up artificial satellites and have already landed on the moon and expect to reach the Mars within a short time. But in spite of these achievements of science, thinking people have begun to question if it is really a blessing or a curse. We all know how power of science is being used for evil purpose also. It is superior scientific knowledge that makes one nation stronger than another and helps the former to oppose the latter. Indeed, it is this disparity that is at the root of all the rivalries among the different people of the world. And what fearful consequences have followed from these feelings. All the wars in history with their tales of wholesale destruction, plunder and famine. Not content with individual killings, man is applying science to invent deadlier weapons for mass killings. Aeroplanes bomb whole cities out of existence. The atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb, poisonous gas, chemical warfare. What a horrible application of science. And we know also how books are used for propaganda purpose to poison men's mind. Faustus, the great scholar of German legends, bartered away his soul to to Saturn for 24 years of unrestricted power and repented when it was too late. In our case too, science has cost us the soul in our mad pursuit of material prosperity. But as the soul is infinitely more important than the body, thinking men have begun to look upon science as a curse, a lure to hell. So has been raised the cry of back to nature, when people enjoyed greater peace and contentment in their simple souls. Page number 742. 31. Achievements of science. Points. Roots of progress in food supply, in home life, in communication, in health, artificial satellites and rockets, abuse of science. At first was little better than animal. As reason developed in him, he began to make discoveries and inventions to make life more and more comfortable. It is science that is at the root of this progress. Let us first take the case of food, the most essential of all. Primitive people did not know how to grow food. Gradually, people learned to cultivate lands with the plough drawn by bullocks. But science has been teaching them how to produce more and better crops at lesser labor with the help of tractors and fertilizers and high-yielding varieties of seeds. Scientists are trying to grow food even in deserts. They have discovered various substitute foods. The population of the world has been increasing steadily, but for these achievements there would have been chronic famines in many places. Science has made home life comfortable and enjoyable. The electric light and fan, the electric cooker, the refrigerator, etc. have freed life of much of the drudgery and discomfort our forefathers had to go through. In the rich countries of the West, there are many other labor-saving gadgets in almost every house. Science has given us improved methods of transport and communication. Formerly, there were only bullock carts and boats. Now we have railways, steamships, motor cars, aeroplanes, etc. These have enabled us to travel even to the farthest end of the world within a very short time in comfort and safety. Science has given us the printed book, which is our main source of knowledge, the telegraph, the telephone, the radio and TV. The latest addition in this list is computer. It has changed the world and ushered in a revolution in the application of science for the benefit of mankind. Science has also greatly helped the improvement of health. We have now good medicines for many diseases which were so fatal only a few years back. Modern surgery also has been doing wonders in the surgical field. Scientists have succeeded in sending up artificial satellites and have already landed on the moon and expect to reach Mars within a short time. All these are wonders of science, and we do not know what further wonders will be achieved by it in future. But it is to be deeply regretted that the power of science is being used for evil purposes also. We all know how books are used for propaganda purposes. What damage and destruction were caused by aeroplanes in Europe, and how whole cities were wiped out by atom bombs in Japan during the last World War. We also know what a mad race is going on for the production of deadlier weapons for destruction. This is certainly deplorable, but that is the abuse of science, and because a good thing is abused, the thing itself is not to blame. In fact, there is not good thing that cannot be abused. We should use science only for the good of mankind.